Hello everybody. Welcome to today's AMA. I'm Clayton, and I have here with me Ian.
Hi.
So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. So we'll kick off the session just having a conversation between me and Ian. So the first question that I'll ask Ian is, what are some of your grand plans for ParallelChain in business in Web2 and Web3?
All right. Thank you. Web2 has been around for quite a long time, and basically they are dominated by the enterprises and also by the governments. And enterprise and governments, they do not share data. They do not do business with unknown parties. And they do not seek consensus from other parties. And that is completely different from the Web3 world as we are today. And they also need to have high scalabilities because business want to expand. You don't want to limit it how many people they can share their not data, but share their business opportunities. So it cannot be, it has to be highly scalable. And those are the reasons I think that why the enterprise blockchain has not been that successful. And of course, ParallelChain, they're completely different. We do not share data. The enterprise don't need to share data. We appreciate that. And we must protect the privacy of every enterprise. However, they do have this also have to comply to the privacy ordinance, the GDPR in Europe. Now, for Web3 is different. Web3 is everybody have a say in it. And the world can see it, can see all the transactions going on, and is open source. It's truly open source. Now, Web2 is not truly open source because they might call open source, but they envelope the open source code with their own proprietary code. So it is actually not open source because once you encapsulated it, how can it be open source, even though they still claim that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, thank you for the explaining, the difference between Web2 and Web3, and how blockchains are different in both worlds. So with our existing enterprise blockchain applications or Web2 products that we have, how would they help with our mainnet ecosystem?
All right. For example, our Shadow chain, it is basically for trading tokens. And casinos, they have tokens. Loyalty programs, they also have tokens. Wouldn't it be nice for them to be able to put those tokens on the public network so people can purchase it? Mm-hmm. And because they are backed by major corporations, so the chance of them going away is hardly can go away. And what does this mean is that the enterprise can print their own currency. Wouldn't they love it? Mm-hmm. In addition to that, the world is going to, you really need KYC because of accountability. And that is why that I'm trying to say is KYC is the common denominator for the entire ecosystem, whether it's Web2 or Web3. It is a fundamental. And but people don't talk about this that much for whatever reason. And in all the vertical solutions in the Web2 world, they all need KYC, and the exchanges, the crypto exchanges also need KYC, and the law is also changing. So there are many issues here that we know KYC is a core thing for both Web2 and Web3.
Yeah, and to touch on that, just the importance of KYC. Basically, every single application, no matter in Web2 or Web3, at some point in the customer onboarding journey, they would need to establish the identity of their users, right?
Yeah.
So, maybe an ID is required, maybe just a face scan is required, or just, some sort of, confirmation that they're not a bot. So I think, just, anti-bot, using KYC as an anti-bot tool in Web3 could have a huge potential, and we could offer that to our ecosystem, applications building on ParallelChain as well.
And also, Web3 would love to have Web2 participate in Web3 because of the gas fee. More, the community will even grow bigger because of the gas fee. The more enterprise come in, printing their own currency, what that means is more gas fee. And so,
yeah, the more traffic, the better.
Yeah, more traffic, more and okay. So I think I rest my case.
Yeah. So we are also seeing some public companies or large enterprises having some adoption barriers when it comes to public blockchain. So, how do you think ParallelChain could help enterprises to mitigate those barriers?
Actually, our design, our ParallelChain enterprise taken care of that, because enterprise do not share data. There's no data leak problem, and the enterprise will not share data. Okay, and enterprise can make use of the Web3, I'm talking about proof of stake, can use the node operator to help them to validate them. And what does that mean? That means it's an independent party, totally independent party to validate them. And it becomes much more trustworthy and acceptable to the world. It's not they are checking themselves. It's a multiple independent third party checking on them.
Yeah, and I think in terms of usability, Web2 customers are used to using username and passwords a lot, and in the Web3 world, a lot of the applications are there, but the users are sort of on their own when it comes to managing the private keys, when it comes to managing the interaction with the application. So I think, one thing that ParallelChain as a company could really help in that sense is, to guide the enterprise a little bit when it comes to user support. So when they deploy solutions, onto the mainnet, onto the public, we could sort of, have the tools or, have the framework to help them to identify some of the usability challenges.
Precisely. The enterprise world, their software is very well tested, and but not in the Web3 world. Okay, and that's why there are so many problems there. But we are working towards solving that problem. Our network, the most important ingredient in our design is it must be stable and it must be secure. Those should be much more important than anything else. And our design is to address that issue.
Lovely. So, yeah, we really hope that we can, in the future, or right now, we could serve as that link between enterprise and mainnet. or Web3, so that to drive more ecosystem growth or general adoption to the space. Yeah.
Web2 is not going to go away. Let's face it, it's not going to go away. Web3 is coming up very fast and very popular, and it is a lifestyle. It is not, it's not anything else. There are people claiming that blockchain is not that useful, whatever. Now, the issue is that blockchain comes with many hypes, and some of those hypes are not true. And that's why it hurts, in a way, it hurts the reputation of blockchain, okay? And some said, some of those problems have been solved already. Why are you solving the same problem? And my reply to that is, why do you fly? Why don't you ride a horse? Why don't you just get on a sailboat and do it and travel over the ocean? The thing is, there will be better and more sophisticated and more efficient solutions. Cannot hold on to say, we solved this problem already, so we don't need a new solution. I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, you're right. It's important to use the cutting edge technology that's available. So moving on, we're gonna answer some of the questions submitted by our community. So the first question from News Capital. So will ParallelChain allocate a fund for developers to join the ParallelChain ecosystem? The simple question is, will there be like an XPRL pad, Launchpad, a bridge, NFT marketplace, or decentralized exchange be an initiative for Web3?
Absolutely. We would select those who are, that we consider is useful and helpful to the community, and we'll not only will provide them with the funding, but we will also syndicate with other investors to do it together.
Lovely. And the second question, also from the same community member, is eKYC chain, preventive chain, approval chain, shadow chain. When would it become dominant or available for Web3?
We wouldn't do it if it's not going to provide these vertical solutions.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, KYC is the most obvious, and it is the common denominator for all the vertical solutions. And that's exactly why we do it. In the blockchain world, in the business world, and even in the personal matter, there's a thing called accountability. And KYC exactly solves this problem, accountabilities. Okay? Specifically, like preventive chain, why it is unusual, because in the past, all the insider threat to deal with it is to find out who's the one guilty and arrest him and prosecute him.
Yeah.
While the damage is already done. It does not really solve the problem. But preventive chain solves that problem. It stops it before it happened. So you don't have any damages to be worried about. And an approval chain, for example, is power supply, supply chain, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Supply chain, and also this management, process management.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. The third question is, is Web3 a sustainable economic model? Does XPRL generate revenue like a retailer or like social media and fund the ecosystem? Or does it generate revenue with a non-DApp POS revenue and inflation? Where is Web3 in this ecosystem? So I guess I will answer that question. So, Web3 is a sustainable economic model, proven since, the DeFi craze and all that, So I think it has already became part of our lifestyle. And to answer the second and third question, we have to clear up the fact that XPRL is a utility token, and used to pay for gas fees, contract executions, and to use to stake and to validate transactions. So okay, moving on. We have another question from OZLM Say. What are the primary benefits that enterprises can achieve by transitioning into a Web3 framework?
Okay, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is that the enterprise today is very much centralized, and they would love to have independent verification of their business, but without data leaks, without sharing the data. And we did exactly that. The Web3 no operator can validate the immutability of the data in the enterprise world without enterprise disclosing any data. And this is, of course, this is our patented technology. We have 2 patents on it, US patents. And that is exactly the point. I think I answered it already.
Yeah. So moving on, what are some of the most promising new business models that are emerging in the Web3 space? So that would be, my take would be tokenization of assets, not limited to jewelries, properties, antiques. So it's just to be able to tokenize anything and have the ownership registered on the blockchain. I think that could be really beneficial to everyone, especially businesses that are looking to increase the liquidity of their assets. And okay, the third question. How can enterprises leverage these new business models to drive innovation and growth?
Okay, this is an interesting question. There are many different business models. I can only give 2 here. 2 business models that the first one is a big one. Let's talk about smart city. Smart city, you have private data, public data, semi-private data, and semi-public data. And so it requires the private blockchain and the public blockchain to work together and protecting the data, but with KYC, with different level of KYC.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one example. The second example is hospitals. The hospital, they have patients, right? And their data is private.
Yeah.
But if there's an outbreak of any kind, serious infectious disease, then the public needs to know.
Yeah.
So private blockchain and public blockchain must able to collaborate and partner together.
Yeah.
Not necessarily integrate together, but partner together. And okay, so I think I gave 2 examples on the 2 business model, and they are real, and they are now.
Yeah. So could you? What are the key features of ParallelChain that make it an attractive option for enterprises looking to adopt Web3 technologies?
Okay. Let's look at from an enterprise point of view. What they are looking for is profits and privacy, right? And if they print their own currency and it can go public with it for trading, it's a huge income for them. Why wouldn't they do it? Okay. Now, of course, they are concerned about their own privacy and data. And our solution, our architecture design, solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, they also have to comply with the privacy law, like the GDPR. And we also have the patented ability to forget. So those are big attraction to the enterprise if they want to adopt and partner with the Web3 world or ecosystem. That is our advantage.
Lovely. So last question. Okay, second last question from the same user. Can you share any success stories or use cases of enterprises that have successfully used ParallelChain and its products to transform their operations?
Okay, for example, public security. They need preventive chain to work with. And preventive chain, of course, is a vertical solution. It must run on ParallelChain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example, I'll give you an example. Airport, the control room of the airport, they must have mirrored control room.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to watch the behavior and the conduct of the operators in the control room. And the preventive chain will help them to not just prove the guilty, mm-hmm. and also prove it innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the behavior of the control room. So that's one.
Yeah.
And the other is like security issuing ID.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make sure the people that issuing ID are doing the right thing, and not slip out and do some an ID that is really shouldn't issue them an ID. And
yeah.
the preventive chain will take care of that as well.
Yeah.
Now trading tokens. What do you need in here? You need the preventive chain, obviously, for the same reason. You need the KYC chain for the obvious reason. And you also need our channel chain to do the token.
Yeah.
And this actually eliminates inside the tradings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, the most popular one is the supply chain.
Yeah.
Supply chain is also has accountability involved.
Mm-hmm.
So there's KYC, there's preventive chain, and there's our approval chain.
Mm-hmm.
Combined together, we solved the problem. Because I want to emphasize that, you need to have preventive chain to make sure that people are honest.
Mm-hmm.
Of each time they're doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is lacking in the traditional supply chain.
Management
you just assume
systems.
that they're doing good work.
Yeah, and it's not tracking.
And that's actually not good enough.
Mm-hmm. So last question from that user is, how does ParallelChain differentiate itself from other Web3 platforms? What unique benefits does it offer to enterprises?
Okay. With due respect to all the other layer 1 blockchain business, there's always one advantage. When you come later,
mm-hmm.
when you do it later, you see all the things you should not do,
mm-hmm.
and you can avoid them. That is one advantage, the person come later can do a better job is because they observe all the mistakes or shortcoming. And the other thing is, we do not deploy technology that are not really proven.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make the thing stable and secure.
Mm.
So we don't use some technology that are actually not mature and not tested. And they will never be tested correctly. They will never function correctly as what they claim. So we don't do that. Okay.
Yeah. So moving on into a question from Offset. Big companies don't want to make the beginning with new technologies. How do you plan to convince companies about parallel chain and that they will actively use it for many of their businesses?
I'm glad you asked this question. This is an excellent question. The way to do it is exactly correct. A big company will not like to adopt or to use the small companies' innovation, no matter how innovative they are. And it's understandable. And our solution is that you have to have a successful ICO and also utilize system integrator. You go, hand in hand with these two things, things will happen.
Yeah, and the second question from Offset is, it is known that ParallelChain has a partnership with GS1, and they are known for standardization. What is the communication like with GS1? Does GS1 tell you exactly what companies want and need? And do you develop your enterprise products afterwards? So I think I'm going to take that. We do have a contract with GS1. And then, due to, the NDA, we can't really disclose any sort of information between us and the customers. And it is a trade secret, for them or us to share any information about that collaboration. So also the third question is about similar questions. So I think we're going to, skip that as well, since we've already answered.
Basically, we cannot, this is called company trade secret, okay? We cannot disclose without the permission of the other party of how our relationships are and how we do deals together. Come on, wait.
Yeah. So I think time's nearly up. We're going to look into the Discord to see if there's any questions. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions on Discord. And so we have 5 minutes left. I would like to ask anyone on the Twitter space to submit any questions that you have. They want to ask us, don't be shy. So I think that's it. So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and it's good to do our first AMA with the community live. And thank you, Ian, for coming on the AMA today as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.